All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Ministry Revealed. It is, I was going to say September, October 6, 2018. And today we are going to do some comparisons. We're going to look at World War II. And this is thanks to a couple people, one knowingly who caught it, which is I could say his name, I'm sure, because his channel name is his name. Keith Klein, one of our brothers in Christ here that we see a lot on the comments. He showed me something in a video that Pastor Sandy did. Many of you know who Pastor Sandy is. And he did a video that was talking about Esther in comparison to Germany. And we're going to touch on it a little bit today in a couple aspects. One, well, maybe in like 3 or 4 different aspects. One is the time frame of the whole deal. The second is a mystery that was hidden for what, almost 3,000 or so years in letters. We're going to talk about how the teaching of pastors, thinking, many, not all, saying that this year is the end of the 6,000 years, how that is just absolutely incorrect. How can it be the end of 6,000 years and we still have the tribulation? Impossible, right? We're going to cover that. So we're going to go through a few things. And in those letters that were a mystery in the Torah for, in Esther, in the Torah, in the Old Testament, in Esther, we're going to show that the correlation to what was happening for those thousands of years when they were trying to understand and get an understanding of it, but couldn't quite fully come to the understanding until the events happened, right? They had an idea, but it wasn't until they were in the season that they were able to correlate it. And we're going to show, as we've talked about before on this channel, how things like that are happening here, yet the church refuses, and those, not everybody. When I say that, it's never everybody, all right, guys? But the church, now, in this, I could probably say the church is in the pastors and the leaders. None of them believe it for the most part. Maybe there's some mysterious ones out there I don't know who know about it, but that would be awesome. But very few people are obviously getting the 14-year understanding unless they're on this channel. And in fact, we've got a new one. There's a new subscriber from Holland that I responded to today. And she had said for a long time, I don't know how long, he or she, I don't know if it's a male or female, had said for a long time they'd been seeing twice a day, 7-7. They kept thinking it was 77. Something relating to 77, the number 77. And in a way it's true, because 77 years into it will begin the time of Jacob's trouble. But she was led to the channel and she realized that it was 2 sets of 7. Right? And I apologize. I say she. I don't know if it was he or she, but I don't want to say it. You know what I mean? So this person from Holland, who's a new subscriber, was just couldn't believe it. Was confused trying to understand what it was for a long time. Was led to the channel and understood why. So just really amazing, right? And I just pray that more and more people will get it. So today, it's going to be a little bit based off of Sandy's teaching regarding the Esther to World War II in relation to timing, and how, yet again, you know, I talk once in a while about Pastor Sandy because when my life all changed with all of this, with being led in the Word just over a year ago, prior to that, I had been following Pastor Sandy a little bit. I started a channel in mid-ish 2017. I started it in early 2017, but I didn't do anything with it until July-ish, something like that, of 2017. I just wanted to be a part, right? I wanted to be a part of what others were doing, and just, even if I was repeating stuff that pastors were saying and showing scriptures where they were showing it, I was happy with that, because maybe somehow it would help even one person come to Christ. That's all. I was just asking the Lord to be used like many of you do. Little did I know what was coming next, right? And if you've been watching this channel for a while, you know what I'm talking about. But Pastor Sandy was one that I had been following, and I would comment to him, and he would comment back. And he saw the first video I ever did which is the Mark of the Beast video. It's 2 videos that a total of like half an hour or something like that, 35 minutes total for the 2 videos. You want to watch both if you haven't. And he had said this was the amazing. He said he could not believe what was in there, and that he had never seen a video so perfectly detailed regarding the Mark of the Beast, with backing of government words, leaders from that were in DARPA and in Google, and at the highest levels, and technology that was discovered in Israel back in the 80s, revealing how it's going to play out and what's going to happen when people take the Mark of the Beast. Unbelievable stuff. And he just thought he wanted to share it on his website and on Facebook or their social media and so forth. And I said, yeah, absolutely, brother, share it wherever you want, right? And we started talking via email and comments like that. And then, but I didn't realize the Holy Spirit had been working through me at that point in my first video. It wasn't until something happened to me on September 8th, and you guys all know about, and that's where all of this began, starting with who the books are speaking to in the Gospels, and then going to the 14 years and so forth. Well, this is why, so since then, I haven't spoken too much with Sandy, a little bit of comments here and there, and he'll respond to them, but he doesn't see and understand the 14 years yet. And the reason I bring all this up is because he doesn't understand it or believe it yet. However, this is the second or the third time as he's explaining things and talking about whether it be something like this in World War II history or just something from scriptures, he's not realizing, and this is at least the second, but I think the third time, possibly the third, maybe even the fourth time, that hidden within what he's talking about is the revelation of the 14 years. And in his last video, that teaching on that, great video, he even, I sent him a comment. It was a pretty long comment, and I'll show you guys some of it a little bit later on. But I even catch him. It's as if I catch his spirit as I'm watching him pause for a second. And I know what that feels like and what it looks like, because that was what happened to me on September 8th, 2017, when I knew the Spirit was trying to show me something. I stopped. And after I finished the video, I went and looked at what the Spirit was showing me and waking me up to. And I'm certain I saw that in Sandy in the video when he talks about this year being the 6,000th year, and then he kind of stops, well, what comes next? The millennium. He's explaining creation, and God, 6 days is 6,000 years, and at the end of 6 days, he rested. The 1,000-year millennium, the 7th day is rest. Yet, how is this year then the 6,000th year? Right? He's got some confusion in his calculation. So he thinks it's this year is the 6,000th, and not only him, there are many, many that teach it. But it's wrong. And we're going to show you that again today. We've spoken about it in the past where 1933, right? We see 1933, Hitler became chancellor. We see 1983, the next beginning of the 50 years, and I'm not saying Trump is Hitler. That's not what I'm saying, all right? Because it's going forward to backward. You see what I'm saying? So then we see Trump about doing a peace deal. We've talked about that. We showed the magazine cover, and he's there, and then he lifts up the tray, and then boom, the dove is there, and he's gone, right? That was done in 1983. When we were searching for the deal of the century, which is what they call this peace deal coming out, they call it the deal of the century. We were doing a search. I did a search on the deal of the century, and what came about? This movie called Deal of the Century in 1983. And I thought, well, this is weird. Let me go look into it. Oh, my goodness. I told you guys about it before. If you guys haven't seen the movie with Chevy Chase in it from 1983, came out November 4th, 1983. If you guys haven't seen it, I would recommend, if you can, to watch it. It even says, oh, I'm giving my life to the Lord Jesus Christ. I mean, you don't hear stuff like that in movies anymore, right? That's what his partner says in this movie. And then you could see them talking about it. You could see them. It's so unbelievable. It's the lead up to the end days. And then when the good guy that had given his life to Christ and finally got baptized and everything, yeah, in this weird movie about it, he ends up can't take it anymore, and he starts dropping bomb on all the planes at this show. And just, it's unbelievable when you understand the truth of the times that we're living in. Well, that was also in 1983. 1983 was also the year that there was a peace deal with Israel, but it was with Lebanon, if I remember correctly. So Israel had a peace deal with Lebanon in 1983. That was the next beginning of the next 50-year Jubilee cycle. All right? And we're going to show how that ties into this today from World War II, and how Sandy, once again, I'm not against Sandy. I love my brother Sandy, man. There was such good communication in the beginning, and just going back and forth as I was learning. I just pray that he will see it, because I believe the comment, he will have seen it. I pray that he will take the time to look through it, because I just love the comment. It just, without belittling, but revealing the truth and the understanding that it could not be the 6,000th year if the 7,000th year begins next. And we know that the entire 1,000 years, the seventh day, is all rest. There's no tribulation during it. All right? So that's why there's so many good things in it. So let's start this off. We'll show you guys. This was one of the early things for me about a year ago. First, it was who the Gospels were speaking to through the discourses and so forth. And then I was led from there into the understanding that the tribulation wasn't 7 years, but 14. This was the first verse that got my attention. Now, we know there's Psalms 90 verse 10 as well. Many of you guys know that. We can explain exactly what Psalms chapter 90 verse 10 means. All right? It means 14 and a half years. About 14 and a half years, all right? That's what this is saying here too. And this is what kind of started. It was one of my favorites, still one of my favorite couple verses here, 3 verses in 2 Corinthians chapter 12 verse 2. I knew a man in Christ above 14 years ago, whether in the body or out of the body, I cannot tell. Whether in the body, I cannot tell. Whether out of the body, I cannot tell. God knows. Such as one, meaning like one, who was raptured. This is the bride. The bride is going to go to the third heaven. All right? And then it says, and I knew such a man, whether in the body or out of the body, I cannot tell. Slightly worded differently because it's a different group of people. This is the rapture group. This is why it's said differently regarding the body and whether in the body or out of it. All right? This one, it says that he was, see, not like one, but was caught up. This is the rapture in the year 2024. They go to paradise. All right? Now, why is it saying above 14 years ago? Because he is speaking to Judah. Down here, wait, where is it? He's speaking to Judah. See, behold, the third time I am ready to come to you. This time I will not be a burden unto you. For I seek not yours, but you. For the children ought not lay up for their parents, but the parents for the children. All right? He is now speaking as if he's here with them the third time. All right? So when he's explaining it when I came, when it first started above 14 years ago. Right? Over 14 years ago. But not 15. Right? Otherwise it would have said 15. It doesn't. It says above 14 years ago, which is above 14 and less than 15. And then he even tells them, look, I brought burden the first time. I came for that group, and then boom, I brought burden. Right? But this time, after the burden, I took your kids. Right? Your kids were gone, which is the rest of the church at the rapture. Excuse me. And then it says, see, why did they do that? Why did it go that way? Because the parents, Jews, Judah, right, over in the land of Israel, they're the parents. They were the ones that have to stay right to the end because they're kids. Gentiles first, then the lost tribes and the children of. And then the third time he is here for the parents. All right? The third time is what? After the above 14 years. So 14 something years ago, but less than 15 years. All right? This is where it all comes from. And see, above 14 years ago, well, what happened above 14 years ago, right at the beginning? This is the first one that happened at the beginning. A group that goes to the third heaven. Then he's telling of another group later on. Why is he putting them together? Not because they happen at the same time, because he's just telling them the sequence of events as now being here the third time. All right? This is the first time from above 14 years ago. This is the next time. Now, this next time, why doesn't it then say, so above 14 years ago, and then say here, 7 years ago or something like that, about that, or 7.5 years ago, or above 7 years ago here? Why doesn't it say that? Because the group that gets raptured will not know the day or the hour. All right? Excuse me. But let's now stay on the focus of this with the 14.5 years. This is where it begins. Those of you who know as well, go to Psalms 90 and 10. It says from 70 to 80 years. That's 10 years. Then soon. Soon is a representation of about 6 months. About 6 months. It's this above portion. And then it says, then we fly away, speaking to Judah. All right? When do they fly away? Same like Revelation 12, verse 14. When they fly away for a time and a times and a half a time. We're going to show you some things that connect to this today as well. Right? That puts the total above 14 years. Same thing. Well, now let's have a look at this stuff with Hitler and World War II. So this is why I bring up with Sandy, because this came from a teaching Sandy was doing, not all this video, but the idea for the video, and with Keith Klein, who had shared this portion of the video of Sandy's video with me. And then I went in and to look at it, and Keith had sent me, like, I'm going to show you guys this little breakdown of Hitler. All right? Hitler came into power. So after 10 months, there were 3 general elections that were held in Germany. We talked about this before when we were talking about the Deal of the Century video. That when you understand that it is not a Jubilee year this year. The Jubilee, the final 50 years began in 1983, and the 50th Jubilee year is going to be the year 32 to 33, right? A year goes from spring to spring, okay? And that will be the final Jubilee, the final year of rest, boom, then the millennium, all right? So we talked about this portion before. So in Germany, there were 3 elections over a 10-month period, all right? Then the guy who finally wins is an 85-year-old guy, and because of things going on in the background, they had a deal and came with a coalition, and Hitler wins. All right, and becomes the new chancellor. He became the new chancellor January 30th, 1933. This is 75 years. This is just from when the article was written. All right, so January 30th, 1933, he becomes chancellor and leader of Germany. Okay, so what do we know? Let's look at this little timetable that Keith had sent. I just played around with it a little bit. So he had said how Germany in World War II mirrors what was and equals the tribulation period of what is to come. Now remember, it's not exactly, but it is a type and shadow, right? Is similitude. It is not exactly the same, but it gives us an idea, and it gives us even a time frame. All right? What else do we know? So 1933 was the beginning of the second last Jubilee year. Hitler comes into power, the beginning of the second last Jubilee year. Right? Or Jubilee cycle, 50 years. He takes office. Hitler is a type of Antichrist during seals. Right? We've spoken about that. Antichrist comes into power. Right? This just because you see this here, this doesn't mean it's not really at the beginning. Right? First of all, I have to space it out so I could write. But the Antichrist, here's what we don't know about the Antichrist. How long is he in power for before he gets his power to continue 42 months? All right? Excuse me. Look at this wording. Look at the wording in Revelation 13. All right? And I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, 7 heads and 10 horns. And the beast that I saw was like unto a leopard, and the dragon gave him his power. I saw one of his heads, till one of his heads was wounded with a deadly wound, and it was healed, and the world wondered after him. You see all these things that are happening here? And they worship the dragon, and they worship the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? Right? He had that wound during the war, was healed later, and then everybody's saying, who can make war with this guy now? See, but he was given power back here. So he's given power as a leader, receives a wound, and stops this fighting from continuing. All right? The dragon gave him his power. And then what do we see? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things. Right? He speaks great things against God. All right? Blasphemy against God, but he's not seeking his throne. We've talked about that in the previous videos. He is just looking to take over the thrones and be ahead of the little g gods, right? He is the Antichrist. He wants to take over as Christ. Satan is the one that is the son of perdition, who wants to elevate himself above God, big G God, right? And sit in his throne, right? Above his throne even, all right? That's why that last video with Obama sitting in the garden on his throne with a dragon on his head. I mean, I'm not saying it is him that's going to be the dragon later on and be dwelt with the spirit of the dragon. I don't know for sure, but that's a very telling painting, portrait. And same with the Antichrist. I'm not saying it's for sure. I'm just showing what the scriptures are saying and how the connection is there. All right? But now look at this. So he was already given power back here. So he's here early on the scene, and he's there during the war, right? He gets power. Something happens, and his deadly wound is healed. Everybody starts to wonder after him because the second beast that comes out of the earth says everybody should worship him, and everybody starts worshiping the first one, right? But what happens here? He's given power to continue 42 months, right? I believe that is about the time of the pale horse, with 42 months left in the seals. All right, 3.5 years left in the seals. But how much was he in power before that? Right? 2.5 years maybe? See, we don't know exactly how long because it doesn't tell us. He comes on the scene pretty early on, and he's here during the war. Right? The one probably causing a lot of the war. If not causing it, definitely the one that's maybe even the one causing it, right? I would say probably even the one causing the war, which is the Red Horse Rider. Okay? So he's there, but war doesn't break out right away on day one. Right? When the bride escapes, does the war begin? Maybe, but when did the tribulation actually begin? Right? A little bit before that, when the earth starts shaking and everything, and I believe we'll be here for those 40 days. Right? But the key here is he's given power to continue 42 months. Right? So he's got power to continue 42 months, which means he had power for about, what? Maybe a full 42 months. Maybe that's why it's continue 42 months. He already had power for 42 months. Now he gets to continue another 42 months. Or is it just continuing 42 more months, which it is, but prior to that, because we're not given a time frame, is it 2.5 years, 3 years? What is it? All right. Well, when we look at this, Hitler comes into power in 1933, and by 6 years later, 6 to 7 years, he starts killing Jews. Right? Comes in at the seals, right, as a representation of the Antichrist, starts killing Jews. 1945, the war is over, Hitler dies, and how long is that? You have about 6 years here, 6 years, and then there's the other with a half within here as well, because you understand when he comes into power to when this stuff begins. The total to the time when he dies, right? Apparently he committed suicide. This is the word. I know there's conspiracy theories out there. All right? The war is over and Hitler commits suicide and dies what? April 30th, 1945. 13.5 years later from his power. Remember that? What is 13.5 years in the tribulation? It's the end of the sixth trumpet. Saying to the sixth angel, which had the sixth trumpet, loose the four. Right? And then what happens at the end of it? Revelation 11. Right? We have the two witnesses. And what happens? Watch this. When the two witnesses are finally killed, they're not killed after 1,260 days. They finish prophesying after 1,260 days, which is the first 3.5 years of trumpets. And then Satan in the pit, and they go after the two witnesses, and there's war that breaks out, and the war lasts 2.5 years. And what does that leave? 1 year. The sixth woe is over. See? The sixth trumpet, which is the second woe. The first woe is the fifth trumpet. The second woe is the sixth trumpet. So boom, the Lord calls them up. There's a great earthquake, and boom, they go to heaven. That was the end, at the end of the second woe. What's left? 1 trumpet. This final trumpet is the final year. The 13.5 years to that 14 into 14.5 about years. That's exactly what happens here. See? Hitler here isn't only a type and shadow of an antichrist. He's also a type and shadow of Satan with the duration of time from when he is first in power to the time when he's finally defeated. Because when Jesus returns, he's going to take care of Satan. He's going to get bound, and they're going to just destroy it with the vials, right? That's what's going to come next. The vials, and what does that equal this time frame? From Hitler coming in to the time Hitler is defeated and killed is about 13.5 years. See that? And now what happens? 1946, 10 hang at the Nuremberg trials, right? About 14.5 years. When were they hung? They were hung on the 7th day of the Feast of Trumpets. They were hung on October 16th, 1946. The final judgment day. Feast of Trumpets, day 7. But when one of these guys, what was supposed to happen is there were supposed to be 11 of these guys hung. But one committed suicide in prison. And so 10 were being hung, and this is why Sandy's teaching was Germany in World War II to Esther. Just like in the book of Esther, when Esther found out what was happening, or whatever book that was in, and Esther finds out what's happening, she wants to save the Jewish people, and she does all these things, and what happens? They thwart the plans of the annihilation of all Jews back in the days of Esther. So what happens is, one of these guys that's hung out of the 10 realizes the irony of what has happened. And what does he yell out? One guy shouts out, "Purim Fest." His last words before being hung from the Nuremberg trials, he shouts out Purim Fest because he understood, just like in the days of Esther, when they were captured, the 10 sons, I think it was, they were all captured and hung. All right? And what day was it? The 7th day of judgment. And check this out. On the 8th day, which was the day after, the world said it was a new beginning. You follow? Do you see the correlation, guys? Watch. Let me show you in the article. See, you can look it up, Purim Fest. So he yells Purim Fest in 1946. And the reason he had yelled it was because of the correlation to Esther. Okay? So there was some really interesting things that took place with this that I'm going to show you and relate them to also what's happening on this channel. So you can just do a search, type in Purim Fest 1946, and you can find all sorts of articles on it, on what he had yelled. All right, we'll come back to it in a minute. But isn't that interesting? And on the 8th day, the world said it was a new beginning. What's going to happen at the end of those 14-ish, the above 14 years? What's going to happen at the end of it? It's going to be a new beginning. The 1,000-year millennial reign. So you see, Pastor Sandy is telling the story about Hitler coming into power till the time of the 10 hanging and the one shouting this, and it was the Feast of Trumpets. It was above 14 years. Exactly like we've been showing on this channel for a year now. The tribulation time frame is 14 years. I say 14, it's easier than saying above 14 years all the time, or about 14 and a half years. It's 14 years. All right? Now watch. See, it equals, the total thing equals 14 years and mirrors the end time tribulation years. In fact, what happens at the end after 1946? Right? Remember, what happens after the 49 years? The 50th year of rest, right? The 50th year when everything is returned, to its rightful owner, right? What happened in 1947, in that final year afterwards? What happened in 1947? November 29th, 1947, the UN General Assembly voted in favor of a resolution which adopted the plan for the partition of Palestine recommended by the majority of the UN Special Committee. 33 states voted. Israel became a nation. See that? Remember last year, guys, we celebrated this? We thought this was the beginning, and maybe in a sense it was. Right? And then into 1948, right? About 6 months later. You see that? About 6 months. What happens? May 14th, 1948, they officially opened it for people to start moving in. But at this point, after this date, there were people slowly starting to move in. Do you see the connection? What's going to happen in the end? When they fly away for a time and a times and half a time for 3.5 years into the wilderness, they're not coming back until they hear the sound of the trumpet and the call back to Jerusalem. And when they go back to Jerusalem, it's going to be what? In the 50th year. You see that? The 50th year. And what does it mean? Look at this. 1933 to 2033 equals what? 100 years. The two final jubilees to Christ's return on the earth, feet down on the earth, not Mount Zion, but when he comes to the Mount of Olives. And it'll be the beginning of the millennium. Right? How many times have we showed it with the Psalms? Let me show you another connection. Right? 1947, 1948, which again, in the end time understanding to the years that we're in now, is the 14th to 15th year, right? 2032 to 2033, which is Psalms, right? Psalms, we've talked about this many, many times, but it was discovered in the 1980s that the Psalms were relating one to every year from 1900. So 1901 was Psalms 1. So when you get to Psalms 100, it's the year 1900 plus 100, so 2032. What happens when we go through all this? We saw the tribulation years from the escape of the bride in 2018 to the end of the tribulation, the return of Christ, and the setup of the millennial kingdom. Watch this. And we've not only done it in Psalms 118 to 132, 133, we've also done it from Psalms 18 to Psalms 32, 33. And you could see, what's the connection there? The 100 years. It just so happens we can go into this book that is about Christ, revealing end time understanding about him, and exactly 100-year gap between the verses, we can find the mirroring image of events from different points of view taking place during the final 14 to 15 years. And look, what do we find here in the year 2032? Watch this. For the Lord hath chosen Zion, he hath desired it for his habitation. This is my rest forever. Here will I dwell, for I have desired it. You can go into 32, forevermore. Right? Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. The beginning of the millennium. See? Guys, it's perfect. World War II reveals the total tribulation timeline. This is, now watch, this is part of the comment that I sent to Sandy. Not all of it. Because one thing Sandy does is he keeps saying that it's the 6,000th year, and he couldn't be more wrong. And that's why I'm saying I caught him with that little piece of saying it's the 6,000th year, because if it's the 6,000th year and the 7,000th year begins right away, which it does, how is it rest if tribulation breaks out? Because it is not the 6,000th year. The 6,000 years ends when the Lord returns feet down on the earth. And why is there confusion, guys? I'm not going to go into too much of this part, but I'm going to show you something that's been making me just, it's been in my mind. I haven't talked about it much. In fact, I may not have even spoken about it because it's something that was just bothering me. But this afternoon, it was revealed to me because I watched a link again from a subscriber about something not relating to this whatsoever, not even to this portion I'm going to show you, but it connected something that made me say, well, wait a second. And it got me into 1 Corinthians 15, 23 through 29, 30, going from Genesis and then connecting to Revelation 20, 21. I mean, it's unbelievable. That's going to be my next video, guys. I might even get it done tomorrow, but not post it right away while it's fresh in my head and while I've got it all together. It was all just revealed to me this afternoon or this morning. So let me show you something. What year is Hosea 6? Remember, for those who have been following for a while, Hosea has 14 chapters and Zechariah has 14 chapters. No other books have 14 chapters. And the Old Testament, right? These are both Old Testament. Zechariah, when I did the research after it was revealed that it was 14 chapters, I went to look into it. It turns out Zechariah is talking from the point of Judah, right, or the Israelites, if you will, in the last 14 years. Hosea is speaking from the view of the Gentiles. Because even though the Gentiles ends at the rapture, the time of the Gentiles, there are still going to be Gentiles on the earth. All right? You need to watch my video, Understanding the Harvest. Right? There's the first fruits of the harvest. Every harvest has a portion taken out first, which is the first fruits, the bride. Excuse me. So the bride goes in chapter 1. Oh, just like it says here. Lord says, Hosea, go take yourself a wife. Exactly like it should. And why is it only in Hosea and not in Zechariah? Because of who it's talking to. All right? Zechariah gives us the time frame. So we have 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Hosea 23 is the year 2023. Is it possible when we look up here, look, Hitler was in power, but didn't begin going after killing Jews in this case. It'll be Christians this time, with Jews as well. But the focus during the time of seals is going to be Christians. Right? Could it be this 6-year time? I think it's sooner than this, than the 6-year gap. But there's a 6-year difference. Look, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 6. All right? The year 2023. And what is this Gentile group saying? Come and let us return unto the Lord. He hath torn, right? He's torn us. He will heal us. He has smitten us. He will bind us. What have these guys been through? Tribulation, punishment, stripes, slaughter. Right? And I'm not going to go too far into it except to show you this piece right here. Right? After 2 days, he will revive us. And in the 3rd day, he will raise us up. After 2 days means what? After the 2,000 years, right? This has bothered me for a long time. And then when I realized that Hosea is 14 chapters for the last 14 years of the tribulation years, it baffled me even more why the year 2023 would say after 2 days he will revive us. That's not at the rapture. It's at his return. See that? Man, I want to go down this trail right now, but I'm not going to. Suffice it to say, this is at his return. When does he return? At the end of the 6,000 years. He's not returning yet, guys. He's not physically coming down to the earth yet. His return that people talk about isn't at the rapture time either of 2024. His return is 2031, 32, right in that time frame, and then that final year. And then there's a group that's going to be revived after 2 days. Which group is this? The group that gets killed. The ones that get beheaded. All right? There's a whole thing I can go down with this. But this is the understanding. And it goes back again. Where does it go back to, guys? The understanding of the truth of the tribulation, that it is 14 years long. Period. That is what it all boils back down to. Everything we've been getting taught on end time has been mumbled, jumbled, mixed up, put together, this here, that there. And most pastors, the ones that have been studying for a long time with eschatology in end times, they know that in the end the books will start to open. They know people will start to be getting understanding. But they haven't come to believe that it is happening already. We've sent out these USBs to dozens and dozens and dozens of pastors. Right? Maybe it's reaching some of them and they're starting to get it. I don't know. Right? The Lord will reveal it to us when we're gone. right? Because you guys are a part in this as well. You guys are helping fund the USB mission. You guys are sharing these truths with others, right? You guys are sending me understandings as you've come to understand it as it's being revealed here, and you guys understand it. You guys then go and find and dig more things and let me know, and I'm able to share it with others as well and add more pieces to it, right? We're all a part of this. It's incredible. But the understanding that we've been told with the 7 years is so wrong, which is why this has been confusing for so many years. Which is why we've got pastors teaching that it's the end of the 6,000th year. Because they don't understand the harvest. They don't understand 14 years, nor do they understand who the books are speaking to. And without those ingredients, they simply cannot understand the tribulation timeline. Period. Wait till you see this video, this next one I'm going to do. Crazy, crazy, crazy. And it all goes back to the understanding we've been taught from the church. It's not always easy for me, even with the understanding that I have, to always instantly catch something. Oftentimes something's a trigger. I watch part of a video of somebody. I rarely watch whole videos of teachings. I wait, and then if something catches me, because it's so difficult to watch when somebody's teaching 7 years, when they get to the point and they start talking about 7 years and this here and that there, when we know the truth. So I'm generally listening, especially if it's a referred video, I'm listening to catch something in it, right? And many of you, like I said, like this video, are good at sending that to me. So, you know, it's just all of this understanding. I got to tell you, I get really, right? I just get frustrated. I wish I understood more why. Why us, those of you listening and who get it, right? I get it. It's all the Lord's plan, and we'll be given our rewards at that time when we're with Him. And I'm happy to do it. I will continue doing it. But I just would like, in prayer, I sometimes, not always, but I ask, can you maybe let me know why, like what's going on? Right? I have a sense that it's posterity being left for those that'll be left behind, and to wake those up currently that are in the church to become part of the bride. But I don't know. I just wish I knew more. Anyways, I still love it though, all right? So this is part of the email that I said I sent to Sandy. So he teaches on the 6,000 years that it's about to end. And as much as it looks like it's running on Jubilee cycles because of Jerusalem, in the big picture, it's not. 2018 plus 14 years equals the last 7 years of seals, 7 years of trumpets, of the 49 years to the Jubilee, which equals 2032, or 3132, because a year is from spring to spring. And it's the year of Jesus' return to the earth on the Mount of Olives. The final year, the 50th year of the Jubilee, is which everything is returned, like we talked about before, to the rightful owner, which goes from 32 into 33. The Jubilee year. Then the 1,000 years will begin. On another note, this is what I like to tell a lot of people. You guys can copy this if you want, retype it a little bit to clean it up, and you can send this portion here to everybody that thinks it's the 6,000th year. If the rapture portion was this year, the rapture of the church was this year, and the tribulation is only 7 years, well, that only puts us in the year 2024, 2025. Right? How is that? See, after 2 days. Dun, 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 see that? Or 2,000 years. Right? That doesn't equal after 2 days or after 2,000 years. Still missing 7 years. See that? Because after 2,000 years, he will return. This goes back to all of the understanding of a pre-trib rapture, a mid-trib rapture, a post-trib rapture. Do you understand the vital wowness of that revelation when that happened here on this channel? That the reason churches and pastors have separated and have argued for generations about this, about whether it's pre, mid, or post, here on this channel we revealed that it's because the scriptures can prove that they are all true. There is a pre-trib escape, there is a mid-trib rapture, and there is a post-trib return. They're all true, which is why you have people that will bounce around from believing pre and then believing mid. Because there's evidence in scriptures for all of them. It was a wild revelation like so many others on this channel. They're all true. So if after 2 days is 2,000 years, then how is it if the tribulation is about to begin this year and it's the 6,000th year? First of all, 7 years are going to be in the millennium of rest, which is impossible, and we'd be 7 years short from his crucifixion year. Just the simple calculation, the easiest calculation of it all is we're short 7 years to equal 2,000. He died, give or take what? 31, 32, into that 33 AD, right? That's the argument. There's nobody arguing that Jesus died in the year 24 or 25 AD. Because he didn't. So do you understand the 7 years on this alone isn't true? And for everybody talking rapture, it's coming in 2024. Don't be part of the rapture. If you're listening to this, you have the opportunity to still be part of the bride. The bride is the first fruits that gets to go to the third heaven. We get to go to stand where God is in the third heaven, standing before the Son of Man. It's even revealed in the traditional Jewish wedding, where she is set aside in her closet, just like the Bible says, right? Her in her closet, and he's in his room or whatever it is. They're set aside in the Jewish custom for 7 days, right? The week before, they're not allowed to see each other. They're in their separate rooms. Then they come out, and then boom, there's the big fanfare. The wedding takes place after the 7 years. But the bride is kept away safe. Get it? Then there's 7 years or 7 days, feast days, after the wedding. And traditionally they'll do it one house or the other, and different families will be responsible for holding that feast. For a week. 7 days, 7 years. 7, 7. In relation to the bride and the wedding and the guests who are invited. You know, everybody says, oh, I'm going to the wedding banquet. I want to be invited to the banquet. Well, if you want to wait around till 2024 and hopefully survive to the time of the rapture, then God bless you for wanting to be part of the banquet, to be invited as a guest. I would rather be the bride. How about you? Right? Now watch this. Then I said, so how do you explain this? Brother, it's because the 14 years is true and it was Holy Spirit revealed. Guys, repentance and love, right? We can disagree with each other. We can have debates about these things. It doesn't mean I hate them. It doesn't mean I hate and I don't want to have anything to do with Pastor Sandy. It means the opposite. I love him and I want him to understand. And then he can help share more of these truths as well. Get it? That's what's going on here. So there is an escape coming this year. And a rapture of the remaining church in 2024. With the exception of the little bits, right? The corners, we call them. The corners and gleaning. And the final return for the cleanup of the Jubilee. brother, it is perfect and all biblical. I had to write this because I don't think you watch my videos, but you should, and understand that the books are opening, and the end time understanding Daniel was told would happen is in fact starting to happen now. Right? Watch. Now let's go back into this story with what happened when these guys were hung at the Nuremberg trials. All right? Oh, and I'll finish up this portion real quick. 1947 was when the UN officially declared it. Guys, we are October 6th. Is it minus 40 days from this? See, what we don't know for sure, for absolute certain, right? I think, was this the day, within this day or within this time frame, that Trump declared that they would move the embassy? Remember that? Last year, sometime November, maybe early December, but something like this. It was probably even the same Hebrew calendar year, if not the same day. All right, or calendar day in the Hebrew calendar. But we don't know if God's maybe using this one. Right? This was the resolution that went out. What we don't know is this may be November 29th last year, 2017, maybe that was the beginning of the 70 years. Right? It's either this date or, of course, the following year from 1948, May 14th. But just understand how close we are. Right? Where's the 6th today? November 29th, a month and a half away about, right? So I just want to share that portion with you guys. Very, very key. It's not going past 70 years, guys. Whether it's May 14th of next year, which is the 71st anniversary, or this is the 71st anniversary, Zechariah says no mention. Even in the year 2024, in Zechariah 7, or maybe 2025, Zechariah 8, there is no more mention of the year, there's no mention of the year 71. It is only 70 as a reference back to 2018, saying those 70 years when you were in the land, when you were prosperous, past tense. They were no longer in the land and they were not prosperous after the 70th year. All right? It will not change, guys. It will not go to 71 without the tribulation having started. Okay? So consider maybe from November 29th, 2018 and go back 40 days. I don't know. Maybe it's something like that, right? Just be on your toes. So let's look at this one real quick. This Purim Fest one I was telling you guys about. And we'll finish off with this understanding, with this portion of the teaching. Check this out. This was amazing. And I'm bringing this up to show what happens here on this channel. Because many of you get it, but many people, they just don't believe it, especially those that have biblical understanding or claim to have eschatology understanding, end time understanding. All right? I've showed that video clip before a few times with Lance Wallnow, right? Pastor or Dr. Lance Wallnow. And he says, look, essentially the pastors for all these generations have been guesstimating what the end time scriptures are really telling us. And he says, but Daniel was told that there will be a group in the end days that will begin to reveal these understandings. I sent him a USB. I pray that he's watched it, right? But now watch. This is why I bring it up. So this is talking about October 16th, 1946, right? This was the 7th day of the Feast of Trumpets. And the last one in the gallows, he yells Purim Fest 1946, which had to do, of course, like we were talking about earlier. But, watch this. But there is a deeper irony which the guy that was hung in the gallows was certainly not aware of regarding Esther and the list of names of Haman's 10 sons. And according to Halasha, 3 of the letters in these names are written in smaller font than the rest of the text. So within the letters of the names from Esther and the 10 that were being hung in the scriptures, there was, maybe not in our Bibles, but in the original Hebrews Bible, there was the letter Tav. So there was a Tav, a Shin, and a Zayin, if I got that correct. And one letter is written, and another letter is written in a larger font than the rest of them. So you had 3 that were written smaller, and you had 1 that was written larger. And here's what it was a Vav. So what do these unusually sized letters signify? For generations. Remember, I've been saying for generations, people have not understood what the end times and what the books were saying. We don't have all of it here on this channel, but it is happening on this channel. The books are opening. And this is an example of what happened in the last generation. For generations, different explanations have been offered. Oh, does that sound familiar? For generations, different explanations of what the end time books are saying have been offered. Right? Like what's happening here. In this case, for generations, different explanations have been offered. And in the 20th century, however, another amazing meaning was discovered. The large Vav is numerically in the Hebrew, it means number 6, corresponding to the 6th millennium. The small Tav and Shin and Zayin are numerically 707. Together, these numbers refer to the 707th year of the 6th millennium. Because what Jews don't do in generally is there's 1,000 something that's before it. Whether it was 4,707 or 5,707 or the year 2,707 in the Hebrew calendar, they generally don't mention the 1,000 number because everybody understands that they're in that millennium. All right? So they would call it the year 707. Well, those numbers meant 707, and the large one was for the 6th millennium. In other words, the Jewish year 5707. 5707 was our Gregorian year, 1946. So hidden in the scriptures for generation upon generation upon generation was a mystery, 707 of the 6th millennium, which they could not understand until those times. See that? Those who have been watching this channel for a while understand exactly what I'm talking about. Right? I'm going to show it to you guys that are new very quickly. We'll cover it to show you what I'm talking about. Because to me, I love it. It's fascinating. I was still planning, and maybe we'll see, doing a video about it. It's called the comma and. It's a revelation of understanding that was a mystery for generations. Like so many other things on this channel, but this one stuck out in particular for me to show you guys. What have we said about Daniel 12? What have we been taught for generations? We have been taught that for a time times and a half a time, or a half, means 3.5 years. Just like Revelation 12, right? Revelation 12:14, when they fly away into the wilderness, it says they'll go there for a time and times and half a time. We've all been taught that that just means the same thing. Well, it doesn't. And the revelation is the word that's missing in Daniel 12. Remember, it's 13 and a half years like we were showing down here? Remember, it was 13 and a half years, and then the trials against all the bad guys to hang them in the final year. Their punishment came in that final year. And I showed you in Revelation when the two witnesses are finally killed and then boom, shot up to heaven, right? The Lord calls them up and they stand up and there's a great earthquake. They shoot up into heaven. There's a great earthquake. 7,000 die. The rest give their life to Christ that are there in the land. And then what happens? It's over, it says, even though there's one trumpet left to go. Right? What time frame is that? It's about 13 and a half years in. There's 1 year left. It's just like, it's exactly what Daniel 9 here is talking about. And this all relates to that time, and half a time without the word "and" in it. This, we've been told, is Satan. It is not. It is Jesus. When Messiah shall cut off, he's going to return in that final year to confirm the covenant that was begun at the beginning of trumpets when he came on Mount Zion. They're not going to see him, but the 144,000 are the ones that are given the power at that point. All right? He's going to be here for the 3.5 years. He's going to cut himself off, and he's going to return for that final week or that final year. All right? Which means what? He cut himself off for 2.5 years while Satan was here, and all those abominations and crazy things happened. Well, look, for a time, comma, and times, and half a time. This is Revelation 12:14 here. See, there's an and. A time, comma, and times, and half a time. With the and, it means an addition. So you have a time, 1 year, and meaning plus, times 2 years, and meaning plus half a year. This one is 3.5 years because of this and. These guys are not going to return to Jerusalem until after the full 3.5 years. But Jesus, Messiah, is going to return with 1 year left to clean everything up. See that? He says, how long shall this be before all of this craziness is done? And he says, that it shall be for a time, no and. Just a time, times, there's an and. But in Revelation 12:14, there were 2 ands. You see, now, are they the same time frame? Yes, they are. They're still speaking about the last portion of the time of tribulations, of trumpets, before the Lord returns to Mount Zion. But Judah is going to remain in the wilderness until the Lord cleans it all up. But the Lord is going to return after the 6th trumpet. Just like Daniel 9:27 says, in the final year. Which is why we don't have an and here, because this is a time, times, so 1, 2.5. 2.5 years. With the and, like we see in Revelation 12:14, the and means an addition. A time, 1, and meaning plus, times 2. So 1 plus 2 equals 3 and a half, 3.5 years. In this case, it is 2.5 years. And the revelation is the word and that came after that comma. This is another major revelation, guys, of understanding because of the word and. My wife gets such a kick out of that one. Not being as attentive as typical men and maybe sometimes husbands can be for detail. And this guy of all people has revealed the difference because of the word and. All right? And that's not just one. Let me show you guys one more, and then we'll finish up with this because the new people don't know what this is about, and I'm going to prove it one more time for them. Revelation 7, when the rapture time happens, the 144,000 are going to get sealed first, right? Just like we see here, they're going to get sealed. Then the rapture of the church is going to happen. The bride escapes over here, all right? Bride escapes. 144,000 are sealed on the earth. Boom, rapture of the church, all right? So this is what that portion was right here. 144,000 sealed, rapture of the church that goes to paradise. All right, that's what Revelation 7 is. 144,000 sealed, rapture right here of the church. See, a great multitude. This is the great portion of the harvest. Okay? So watch this. And after this I beheld, and lo, I'll start there. Just that verse. And after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man can number, because this is going to be over 1 billion people, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stand before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes, and palms in their hands. It is a separation of people, but together. Do you understand that? Just like the comma and with the years. It's all part of talking about the same time frame of the last portion of trumpets, but one is telling us about a 2.5 year portion. One is telling us about the total 3.5 portion that they're going to be completely gone for. This one here is telling us these guys are together as a group, but they are two separate groups as one. A group that was given white robes. Where do we see that? The group that was given white robes is the 5th seal. Let me make that brighter. Is at the 5th seal. And I saw under the altar, this is going to tie into my next video, the souls of them that were slain for the word of God and for the testimony, right? These are the ones that never took the mark of the beast and so forth, right? Never received a seal, never worshipped him, right? And they had the testimony of God, okay? And they were saying, when are you going to avenge us? When are you going to avenge us, Lord? And what does he do? And white robes were given unto them. Do you see anything here about palms in their hands? Nothing. These guys are the ones that were killed, that are under the altar, who were given white robes. The ones who have the palms in their hands, this is so beautiful. I did a video on this too. I love it. It was such an incredible video. Psalms 24 for the rapture year 2024. It's the video I did is titled something along the lines of cleanness of hands, or have you cleaned your hands, or something like that. Just look for like cleanness of hands in my videos and watch that video. It was an awesome video. Because in 2018, when the bride here is about to be escaped out of here, what does she have? Watch this. I talk about this a number of times, but what does she have? She was taken out into a large place, delivered because the Lord delighted in her. Right? He says, in me. The Lord rewarded me according to my righteousness, according to the cleanness of my hands. See, the bride does not need to be cleansed. She is already clean. But in the year 2024, those that had to remain of the church who were still falling back and living in this world, even though they claimed to believe in Christ, they had to remain until they cleansed their hands and realized what the truth and the understanding was about repentance and love and forgiveness and, spending time with them. Right? So what happens in 2024? The rapture year, just like I said, oh, look at that. The fullness thereof. The fullness of what? The fullness of the Gentiles. But look at what they had to do to get to this point. He that has clean hands and a pure heart. See, that has now clean hands. They had to get purged, which means to cleanse during the tribulation of seals. All right? And a pure heart. Well, look at what this definition of hands means. Watch. In fact, let me show you the difference in the definition from Psalms 18 for the year 2018 When the bride's clean hands, look, it's the power of the hand. All right? It's a different word than what we see here in these who had to clean their hands during the seals. All right? Now they've been purged, they've got pure hearts, they've been cleaned, they're going in the rapture. But look at the definition of these hands. Who are these people? The understanding of who these people are is revealed in the word hands. And for those of you who have been watching, know what I'm going to say next. If you don't have this program, eSword, this program that you see me teaching on is called eSword. You need to get it. It is free. If you can, donate to them as you donate to this ministry. Right? Send them a little something. This program is free to download. You should have it on every device you can. Why? Because I just showed you. Here's one word for the word hands, and here's another one. This one is the one that has power, that was already clean, that had cleanness already. This is the bride one. Look at this one. This is the one that's the hollow of the hand like the palm, the leaves of a palm tree. You see that from the understanding of two different words for hand. All right? For two different words for hand. The ones that are alive that we saw here in Psalms 24 at the rapture time are which ones? The ones that have the palms in their hands, the palm leaves in their hands. These are the ones during the seals that were beheaded for their faith, who were given white robes. Now, is it possible that once there, the white robes were given palms, and those that had palms were also given white robes? Of course. But there is the separation in understanding it, in discernment, with the word and, which is the reason I bring it up, because it ties into what we were saying here. These letters that for some apparently looking obscure reason were slightly smaller than the rest of them for generations had no real explanation except, hypothesis and theories, was finally revealed in the season for it to be understood. Just like what I'm getting at here on this channel, with something as simple as understanding the difference of comma and. All right? It's incredible. It is so amazing. I had to share all with this understanding. It covered so much here, guys, today. We can see, again, 14 and a half years. Give or take 14, not take. Give a little more than 14 years. Look at that. Even from when he killed guys. 13 and a half years. Just like when the Lord returns and deals with those guys in that final year, like Daniel 9:27 says. The final 2.5, like he says. The final 3.5 when the Jews leave. See, the Jews didn't come back here, did they? No. They came back in 46 to 47. Late 46 into 47. Right? The final year. And then what begins? The new beginning. I just love it, guys. It is so beautiful. God is so good. I can't do this on my own. It is spirit-filled, led with the understanding of the scriptures of this. Going to see that comment that I had sent to Sandy, it's perfect. Not because I'm perfect, but the one who leads me is. It's unbelievable. We're going to go into some other things. It's getting late here now, but you should see. We're not going to get into other things today, but on that next video, guys, it's awesome. There's even something. I'll even see if I can tie it into Jeremiah 4. Right? Look at this. Look at this. Maybe I'll throw this one out there for you guys just for now. for the heck of it. Right? What are we waiting for? Yet again, I've been showing peace, 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 peace. The tribulation will not start until they have that peace deal, all right? If it's not the 10th of something, don't worry about it. The 10th or 11th, people are saying it's not going to begin at trumpets then. Right? You got to remember, everybody teaching those things are looking for 7 years. They're looking for the rapture. We are looking for the escape. The portion of the church, the 10% of the church, the 1.8, 2% of the world population to vanish and throw the entire planet Earth into confusion as to what happened and the tribulation fully onset and beginning. Watch this. Then said I, Lord God, surely thou hast deceived the people. And I was like, what? You've deceived the people? Because he doesn't respond to it. All right? So let's just take that with a grain of salt as to the meaning, right? Led astray, seduced, beguiled. I mean, the Lord doesn't respond to it, but listen to this. Then said I, right? That's what it means. Lord God, surely thou hast deceived. Now remember, it's just a man saying this to the Lord. This people and Jerusalem. This people and Jerusalem, saying, you shall have peace. Right? We're waiting for this peace plan to come out. And what do we know as believers? This peace plan is going to bring the war. Again here in Jeremiah 4. Saying, you shall have peace, semicolon, whereas the sword reacheth unto the soul. This I should save for another video as well. Try to understand what this one verse here, 4:11, is talking about. If you don't have a program like this, like eSword or MySword, you'd be left out to lunch. What is it talking about? The escape of the bride. It's talking about the escape of the bride, believe it or not. Let's just read it as it says, and then I'll finish up. At that time shall it be said to this people and to Jerusalem, a dry wind of the high places in the wilderness toward the daughter of my people, not to fan nor to cleanse. It ties in with what we were talking about earlier. Excuse me? I'm Canadian, so that was a Mike Myers reference. Right? What on earth does this mean? You need a program like this called eSword. All right? Get it. Watch what dry means. Who in a million years would have thought dry means this? Sunny, bright, clear, white. Right? Let's go to the root. Oh, let's see this. Bedazzling white. The word dry wind means a dazzling, beautiful, sparkly white wind. Without eSword, just reading the scriptures, you would have been lost. All right? That's why a program like this, the end times understanding, is revealed by using a program like this. Multiply your understanding tenfold with a program like this. So what is it saying? At that time shall it be said to this people and to Jerusalem, a dry or a dazzling white wind from on high, right? From on high, which was, don't remember where that one is, from heaven, which is from above, right? Of high places, toward the daughter of my people, not to fan, nor to cleanse. What does that mean, to fan? Not to scatter them away, right? Not to cast them out and spread them abroad or toss them about, nor to cleanse them, right? Nor to purge them and to cleanse them. Why? Because the bride is already clean. When the bride is gone, when the Lord, the rewarder, rewarded me for my righteousness, according to my cleanness, the cleanness of my hands. So because the bride is already clean, she does not need to be cleansed again. She is not going to be dispersed as those in America and the world are about to be by the events of the tribulation beginning. It's going to be a sparkling, bright, brilliant wind from on high. It's going to take us out. It's perfect. Again, they're going to say peace, thinking it's going to bring peace. War is going to come. And right at this point when they do, see, at that time shall it be said to this people and to Jerusalem, a wind is coming to get my bride, not to spread her throughout different lands, nor to cleanse her, because she is already clean. All right, guys, I love you. God bless you. That was exciting. I wanted to get it out because there's more to come. There's an exciting video coming next, and another exciting video, I should say, coming next. And I'm really excited to share that one with you too. I will have it out. Well, I'm not going to probably have it out tomorrow, but I will most likely get it done tomorrow. Most likely, and I just realized we got a family thing with turkey here in Canada. So maybe I won't have it tomorrow. Maybe I'll just do it on Monday and post it on Monday. All right, guys. So with that, I love you. God bless you. I hope this gives you insight and revelation and understanding and truth to the 14 years that revealed in the Second World War, starting with the beginning of the second last Jubilee season to the end of the final Jubilee. All right, guys. I love you. God bless you. We'll talk to you soon.